always been a very strong pick for him. He seems to really enjoy playing Ziggs and then Yasuo, which are the two champions he does really well on. So Copenhagen will really value getting him on a comfort pick early, and also take it away from Overpower, who's played Ziggs quite a lot and really shown he likes to play this aggressive laner.
Well, we're waiting to see what ROCCAT are going to react with. Of course, they did play Lulu in that mid lane. Morgana was taken away and banned out. Just had a fantastic game for Enrated in the last matchup for SK. And it seems that he's going to make another appearance this time for Vanda, despite Thresh being available. They have gone with that one, and Lee Sin, of course, for Jankos.
But still, the binding, the pick potential when you have Morgana is so strong. I mean, you can pair with pretty much everything. Land the binding, you get so much poke down, or the engage, and you just get this kill here, take an objective. So she's just so strong around these objectives here. Her laning phase, not necessarily the best, but it's not terrible either. I mean, again, you can set up ganks and you have the Black Shield to be safe with your AD carry. So overall, very good pick here. And ROCCAT really showed, with banning it away so many times and now early picking it, they really value her as probably the #1 support.
Yeah, they went with Zyra, of course, alongside Caitlyn in the last matchup. It looks like Caitlyn probably will get selected again for ROCCAT here because Lucian was just taken away. That means Woolite will be on that one. And Renekton back in that top lane to Youngbuck.
And Youngbuck played Renekton twice last week. Actually,
he plays a very aggressive Renekton, like aggressive build-wise.
He builds Blade of the Ruined King on it. And even in solo queue when I've been watching him, he even goes some Ghost Blade sometime and just go full split push. Want to just try and kill people one-on-one. We saw Renekton a lot over in NA, where pretty much everyone except for Dyrus built full tank. Darius put in a Tiamat, and then he went full tank afterwards. So we see the style in NA, very tanky Renektons. In Europe so far, we've seen Blade of the Ruined King a few times, put some focus on the lane and trying to split push a little bit before joining for teamfights later on. We need to see which style Youngbuck wants to play here, but it's already shown both solo laners for Copenhagen Wolves very early on.
Well, interesting change for Salavar, finally going towards that Corki, moving away from the champion, of course. He's played it a number of times before, week 5 back in London. But as I mentioned, he's basically, this is the North American matchup, a Lucian versus Corki. It's what we've seen so many times over there. Like you say, it hasn't played too often. Went with Caitlyn in the last matchup against Fnatic, despite the fact Lucian was already selected. So obviously something has happened in between that. Obviously they had a loss to start with, but they didn't do that badly in lane.
No, but the thing, Corki brings more mid-game power as a champion itself. His laning phase is good. You can build Trinity Force early on. It's something Piglet did it over in Korea when SKT-T1K played against Samsung Ozone just a few days ago. He went Corki, built Trinity Force as the first item, strong laning phase, good mid-game, and even your late game, if you build Infinity Edge, is actually pretty good. It's not like you're not a hyper carry or the best, but you actually have a pretty good late game. So overall, it is a strong pick, and therefore for Salavar here, you might see him trying to challenge Woolite, trying to shut him down, trying to get a few kills on him. Possibly even in the laning phase with this Morgana if they do land a binding, and then Jankos joins in for some very easy ganks. Requires a binding though.
Yeah, we didn't mention, of course, Aurelia was selected for that top lane for Zaza. So Woolite has locked in the champions. It is going to be unlimited on Zyra, and of course it's going to be Evelynn for Airwax.
So Zyra is a very strong pick against Morgana in the laning phase because you can break her Black Shield so easily with your Q, with your plan, and then you can land a root afterwards, and because you can poke so much from range. As long as you dodge the bindings, you're perfectly safe and you can just poke away. So we might see ROCCAT also with this Aurelia pick look for the lane swap here. Make sure they don't get Aurelia against Renekton early on and don't want to get this Morgana into the Zyra as well. We need to see how they want to play the lane swaps, and if they do get lanes, or standard lanes, we might see Jankos be very aggressive with the ganks, trying to help his lanes out.
Well, the mid lane is the selection we're waiting for. What is Overpower going to pull out? Of course, Lulu banned out. It's what he played against Fnatic in the first game of the day. Hello, Xerath.
Hello.
Being hovered over. Will it get locked in? We'll wait and see. Yes, it will. So Xerath coming out in the mid lane up against a Ziggs.
So two very long-range pokers against each other here, but also with a lot of AoE damage for both of them. Remember, of course, the Seraph ultimate. Such a long range. You can fire free shots of it as well, trying to just kill people from very far away. And we can actually see both mid laners focus on farming and then just step a little bit towards the side lane and fire down the ultis to try and help out the lanes. Of course, Seraph should have a slightly less range than the Ziggs ult, but can move down, try and help out both lanes here if they want to, try and assist in the kills. But ROCCAT here with some very good poke, both with Corki and Seraph now, and you have, of course, the binding from Vanda to land, and you just destroy the one target you have managed to hit with the binding, and you have disengaged on both course, the stun coming in from Seraph with the ball. We have your Black Shield. You have even Lee Sin to disengage if needed. So we might see ROCCAT here trying to group fairly early and just try and siege down and poke down Copenhagen Wolves.
Well, we'll see how this one works out. Which team landed the better lineup? Who do you guys think at home? Tweet us #CWWin or #ROCWin to @LOL Esports, and we'll see who you think came out ahead in the Champ Select.
It's actually very much the same style. Copenhagen Wolves have the same thing. You have Ziggs and Lucian to poke away. You have Zyra to disengage. So both teams looking really to poke towards each other. Who's actually going to start the fights? I'm not too sure, because they're engaged for both teams is not ideal.
That's a worrying sign.
I mean, you have Evelyn, of course, who can flank around, and Renekton can come in trying to land a stun here, but Zyra is not a support who engages. She's disengaged, pretty much. Unless you land the root. You flash root, of course you can start a fight. On the side here of ROCCAT, I mean, Morgana, again, disengage. Unless you land a binding, you might start a fight. And then Aurelia or Jankos have to go in from the side as well. So both teams, without any hard engage, and a lot of poke.
I should point out also that both these teams have the longest average game length in the European LCS. And when you say there's not much engage, it sets me a little worried. We also saw an absolute epic, crazy clash between the Copenhagen Wolves and Alliance on the last day of London's road trip. So we'll see how this one works out. So, Copenhagen Wolves starting out as the blue team, up against ROCCAT as the red team. And we instantly...
Yes. Setting the tone for the game here. We take our time, no rush. I mean, again, there is options for both teams to start the fights. Evelyn, Lee Sin, both supports can land the skill shot.
I'm going to throw it out there. You know, as team-wise go, Copenhagen Wolves always have the best tops. They had that one that was bad, but generally they have very good tops in that top lane. Alliance could learn something from them. No, not going to. No, not got a favorite top. I mean, you had a couple. You had NIP, you had a Wolves top yourself, no? You're not really offering much with this one.
Nah, well, I don't actually like the new shirts.
You don't like them?
I like the old ones, the Adidas one. They were awesome.
Well, the ROCCAT ones are pretty good as well. I mean,
okay, they're cool shirts.
Yeah.
But not as cool as the old Copenhagen Wolves shirts. Oh, they're definitely cooler than Alliance.
The original Adidas ones, yeah.
Definitely cooler than Alliance, however.
They're definitely cooler than Alliance. I think everybody's as cool than Alliance. I'm trying
True.
to think of it now. ROCCAT's got some pretty cool shirts. At the moment, there is a pause. You can see us Unlimited talking to the admin there. And now you can see me. I'm talking to you.
Did you call it tops?
Tops, yeah.
I didn't even know it was shirts. I was trying to figure out what you were talking about.
Denmark, ladies
tops.
and gentlemen. Tops. Yeah, tops shirts.
There's been some viewers who didn't know tops was a shirt.
Really? Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right. Maybe a bit of an English slang coming in there. Who knows? Tops shirts. I mean, what did you think I was talking about?
First of all, you're talking about Youngbuck, and then you start talking about Wicked. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and compare the two top laners with each other.
Okay, top laners. Now I get where you were going with there.
Where are you going with this one? Because you kept referring back to Alliance and Wicked and everything. I was like,
you could have talked about Wicked.
I could.
You could. Who knows?
Then it would have been even more awkward because you were talking about the shirts and I started talking about Wicked.
We're talking about shirts, ladies and gentlemen. Who do you think has the best shirt? Tweet us at LOL Esports and we'll check that out as well. Don't forget to vote, of course, #CWWin and #ROCWin to see who you think's come out on top of this one. We will find out in just a few moments. Right now, the game is back underway and the Copenhagen Wolves, as the blue team, looking to see if they can go for an invade. Both these teams actually built identical all across the board in items. The only little difference is a biscuit and a health pot.
Both top laners, Dawn Shield. We keep talking about how Dawn's Blade now gives lifesteal instead of on-hit health, which of course is better early game, but lifesteal is going to be better late game here. So both top laners get into Dawn Shield so they have some sustain. And again, we might see ROCCAT go for this lane swap here. Unless they feel confident enough, they can actually take this standard matchup and then rely on trying to outplay Copenhagen Wolves and Jankos having more impact than Airwix. We have to say though, Airwix and Evelyn, it is a champion he normally picks up a lot of kills on. And he's actually the jungler in the LCS with the most kills at the moment. Also one of the most deaths, but who cares? All about kills.
Who cares about those deaths? We don't want to worry about those. So it looks like it's actually going to be even lanes. Nobody's going to be making any of those lane swaps we thought about, although despite the potential buddy system for both ROCCAT and Copenhagen Wolves, so maybe they're expecting some switches, who knows. They did get the wards over at that Tribush area in the top lane. ROCCAT, are they going to go for that cheeky early aggression? I think they're going to move in for this one. I think they want to try and catch out Waller early.
Just if they land the bind and then the Q by Silver.
No,
gave it away a little bit. Should have done a little bit earlier.
Walking straight out there, straight in towards the face of it. So we'll see how this one works out between the two once the game sounds gets back underway. Silver and Vander keep on poking towards Unlimited and Walleye. Who will get level 2 first? It looks like it may well be ROCCAT.
Both teams very aggressively here, just trying to push the lane. You see both supports trying to go towards the caster minions. In favor of ROCCAT. However, Copenhagen will even it out here and just wait for the next wave to meet.
Ooh, bit of damage on Overpower in the mid lane. Coutard already landing some of those bouncing bombs, it seems, and Overpower going to have to be defensive and make sure he sidesteps. Of course, he's going to be slowed down every time he holds down that Q. But in the moment, the bottom lane, aggression on towards Saliva, trying to take him low. Woolite putting the pressure down.
Taking a lot of damage here from the poke from both Woolite and Zyra early on, so it is a bit risky for ROCCAT. Have to use the health pot already still. Heal for Silver in case it's needed, but he's taking a lot of damage now. Actually, only level 1 to the level 2, so early level 2 for Copenhagen Wolves. Managed to get a lot of poke in.
There we go.
There's the game sound.
Yay! Woo! Amazing. You can hear those effects. Silver taking damage, but it seems that it will keep them at bay. Top laners, that's how I look and peek towards them, because Xaxus and Youngbuck, this is an Aurelia versus Renekton setup. It's something we've seen probably a few times back in the spring. We haven't seen too often. Unlimited caught out. He's going to take some damage. Quick burst out from Sullivan, but they haven't got that instant burst potential right now in this bottom lane.
No, but these bindings, especially for such a long range, which Vander actually managed to land a binding here, Unlimited, he needs to dodge them. Every single one, because if he dodges around the bindings with Zyra, he will just control the lane. And normally it is actually the supports deciding the lane, especially early on here, because they're the ones providing the CC, and often also a lot of the poke here. So as long as he dodges around the bindings, he will be able to constantly poke on Salivar and force him away from the CS. And every time he tries to go forward and hit one in the middle of the lane, Woolite can then join in and poke onto him as well, and therefore put everything in favor of Copenhagen Wolves.
ROCCAT push out. Jungler's not getting involved in this one. Teleport used by Youngbuck in the top lane. Yes, Xaxus is still sitting around farming out those CS and keeping himself as even as possible on Youngbuck. Youngbuck, of course, used to be known or famed before he was Renekton and on top lane, but since then there's a lot of players that have absolutely proven, I would say, to be better, honestly, on Renekton. Freddy being one of them.
Freddy's definitely been very strong in Renekton, but still, Youngbuck, he likes to play the bruisers. We've seen him try some AP tops as well, with mixed success. I think we can say his Vladimir's not really shown us anything, but his Renekton has always been solid, at least. And this game here, just trying to bully out Xaxus as much as possible, but both top lanes actually just farming. They're not really going aggressive towards each other, just farming away, and as I said, they go aggressive.
Well, Xaxus puts a little bit of pressure down onto Youngbuck, realizes he hasn't got the mini advantage. Jankos going to get spotted out, the warp just timed out, but nevertheless it saw him in time, so it did its job. We see Oiwax making a counter, and maybe looking to go towards overpowering this mid lane. If he uses that Arcano Pulse, if he holds it down, while accurate, it can slow him down. Slows him down a little bit, yeah. Still, we would need to see a satchel coming in from Counter, knocking him a little bit back, otherwise it's going to be too easy for him to get towards his tower. Counter's just been pushing the lane pretty much all the time and forcing Overpower to then try and push it back as well, so they're not really hitting each other, they're just using a lot of mana farming away. And Youngbuck, with a very big wave up here, actually going to freeze it a little bit, just letting all his minions die, while Xaxus now is forced to recall and potentially even to teleport back to lane, and therefore it won't be up if he needs it for the dragon, something else the next few minutes. Quite enough to go for the Phage. Instead he will teleport back down now onto the minion, by the way, so that's going to affect his cooldown timer, but he really wants to keep pressure on Youngbuck. He was putting a lot of good pressure on towards him, and considering he was staying even in farm in the CS, despite the fact he hadn't backed away, and actually keeping pressure on him, Youngbuck needs to be a little bit more careful. We saw how aggressive Xaxus was being early on. Now he's going to go back in towards it. No dominance available for Youngbuck in this one. Xaxus puts a lot of pressure down on towards him. Minion-wise, it's actually even between the two lanes in terms of how much they can push back on towards him, and that's why Airwax is coming up to help out. We actually missed it early on, but Youngbuck had to go back to base already and used the teleport, already picked up a Dorn's Blade, the first back here, so Xaxus now needs to be careful though. Goes what? Instead flashes downwards straight on towards his face. Safeguard comes up from Jankos. It was bait, it was very overly aggressive bait, I think it's safe to say, but Xaxus is free. Manly bait. A manly bait. Knew Jankos was gonna be there, knew he could survive it. Took us by surprise, managed still to get away from the gank here. Flash is gone though.
And Copenhagen Wolves actually didn't use any summoners up in his top lane. But this bottom lane, they're still taking so much poke.
Celavar are also tanking out the minions as well, which is adding the extra damage towards it. The tower trying to put the damage back down there. He should be able to keep up all the farm. But again, a lot of aggression from Woolite. We saw earlier on, he's got 62 kills so far in the LCS. He's chasing on towards that 80 that Forgiven, of course, set in the spring. Overpower backing off, everybody going to buy. Chalice picked up by Kautar, Chalice picked up by Overpower, both going even on that one. And we are seeing potentially the Trinity Force coming out for Celavar early on. While Woolite is going towards the Blade of the Rune King build.
So both of them actually, I mean, going Trinity Force first on Corki is very smart, especially in the lane, because it makes you strong in the lane phase. You can't really afford building anything else. If Woolite had went back and bought a BF sword, he would have been stronger now. But with the Cutlass and now towards the Sheen from Celavar, they should still be fairly even and just looking to farm. But still, it's about the supports. The poke from Unlimited will really out-trade the ones from Vander unless you eat every single binding in your face.
Absolutely. Something that was really alluded to mention is obviously the BF sword did get a buff. Of course, it is now 50 AD instead of 45, which it used to be before, despite being the same price. So it kind of is a good item still early on, and as we've seen, it's even the very best AD carries in the world still can't decide which is the best build to go.
No, and often, again, it depends on how much gold you have when you go back to base. It depends on, are you really looking for complete late game team fights? Do you know your team can stall the game out long enough for you to go Infinity Edge as first item and get towards your late game points? There's a lot of things always going into the mindset of people or the thoughts of people when they have to pick these items here. And also because the patch is still fairly new and you're just waiting for someone else to break out something new and you're like, oh, now this is the best thing. Whatever it's gonna be, I don't know. Could be Cutlass first into BF Sword into whatever item, and also that's the best thing. We have to wait and see.
Overpower falling slowly but surely behind on Kautar. AOX clearing out the pink ward. Jankos finds him, but they are too slow to react. The pink ward goes down. Back in the top lane, Zaz and Youngbuk going at it, and Zaz is having to have him back away. Has felt fairly behind in terms of CS. Of course, that aggression that came out from the walls with AOX has put some pressure on him, and he's going to have to use his ultimate to clear this wave out, I think, maybe towards that tower.
There's a big wave for both junglers, or Jankos being nearby, and the fact he was actually pinged here by Copenhagen also means they know we're not going to try and go for any crazy tower dives. Airworks already moved away from this top lane, even though there's a big wave coming in. Often we see teams move the jungler up when there's a big wave because they want to force the enemy top laner to move away, lose all the farm, lose the XP, and therefore fall even further behind. But of course Jankos was nearby, was never an idea by the Copenhagen Wolves. And just looking to continue to pressure the lanes. Youngbuk doing well his lane, bottom lane of course, doing really well. Now Kautar with the blue buff, starting to push in the lane as well.
He's going to come around, find that pink ward. Still no dragons, so this may be the first one of the game. Copenhagen Wolves moving into position.
Opa's back in base.
Ward from ROCCAT actually showing the entire vision, which actually may be enough. No teleport available for Zaz in that top lane, whereas Youngbuk does. Of course, could get interrupted. They're actually not going to go for it yet.
Oh, so the Wolves back away from it. They are actually forced Overpower back to base, and because Zaz is teleported to a minion, his teleport wouldn't be ready either in case they had started it, and Youngbuk was in a good position to push out the wave and teleport down for Dragon. So I actually felt like Copenhagen Wolves should have gone straight for Dragon as soon as they saw Overpower recall and just communicate to Youngbuk, push out the wave, be ready to teleport in case we need you, and they would have been able to pick up an early Dragon here, but they played very safe, back away, and now lose the chance of some fairly easy goal in my opinion.
Looking to try and create some aggression on Kautar in this mid lane. Can the shocking orb land from Overpower? Can he land that stun? It's going to be important in this gank. He's going to move in towards it. The minions have been cleared out. Does manage to get the Eye of Destruction down. Not quite enough. Quick Arcano Pulse will force him away and take him low and push him out of lane for now. Yeah,
they're pushing down the wave here. Kautar using his ulti actually in this mid lane to just clear it out. And we do see Airworks now going towards the top lane. It's the thing we talked about just before. Moving up, force the enemy top laner away from his tower, and therefore trying to deny him as much CS and farm as possible. But he has teleport, and now the Dragon just goes to ROCCAT because there's two members top, and Copenhagen Wolves didn't take it before when they had the chance.
Yeah, quick reactions from ROCCAT. At the moment AOX shows himself up there. Teleport is back available for Zaz, so he can even go towards the top if needed. He's just going to walk his way in there because no pressure's going down from ROCCAT, so from the Wolves onto that tower. Now he will teleport back in there. Sure why he didn't walk past that last little bit. Was he
There's no
fearful of
anyway.
Youngbuk between the lanes?
Yeah, he's probably afraid of Youngbuk zoning him away, so he had to use the teleport anyway to just get to the tower and pick up farm because Youngbuk was between the two towers farming. would have stopped him from moving unless Jankos had moved all the way from this bottom side up to help him actually. So he had to use teleport. Of course, 240 seconds cooldown. Overpowered though in this lane. Falling slightly behind in CS, but landing a lot of poke onto counter.
But as we've seen again, falling behind in CS, as you mentioned, this is something he did against Peke. Peke afforded himself the record in that match, and as it stands, overpower. But we have seen before, in the past, with Xeraths, they can be lean, mean killing machines. Actually, Coulthard in trouble. He's going to try to charge away the ult. Will he be able to catch it? Doesn't matter, because Jankos comes in and finishes the job.
It's a very nice setup here, landing the stun first, and Jankos just joining in, getting the kill. Didn't even have to land any of the ulti charges from Overpower. He knew, therefore he missed on purpose. Now Youngbok going on to Zazas in his top lane.
I'm not sure he missed on purpose. Zazas taking some damage. Mid lane, Tower taking some abuse. Awax trying to clear out those minions with those hate spikes, smiting them down. Stun not quite landing from Overpower, actually putting some aggression back down on him.
Damage.
ROCCAT actually coming out in favor of the vote, despite the Wolves, of course, having the advantage early on. Binding does land, this time on Unlimited. They are keeping them at bay, but Unlimited and Co and Wallite still keeping that pressure on that bottom lane.
It's going to be a scary thing for Copenhagen Wolves. Once ROCCAT starts grouping up here, you have the binding you need to dodge, but you also have the stun from Seraph. Now the ball is thrown towards you. If you get hit by just one of them, the next one is going to follow, because it's so easy to land it, and you just CC'd for such a long time. We often see Morgana with Elise doing the same thing. Now, of course, it is with Seraph in this mid lane instead. And if they can chain the CC together, they do have a lot of poke and a lot of damage to kill someone and then take a tower or whatever objective afterwards.
On the pick and ban, we talked about Youngbok, of course, going with those aggressive builds, and again, it's going to be the Blade of the Rune King first item completed for him. Meanwhile, he's going to be up against the Triforce Xaxus, and that's going to take him a little while to complete that one, so he should get the Blade before Xaxus.
Yeah, so the whole idea about Blade of the Rune King on Renekton is because your W, it applies on-hit effects and you hit multiple times with it. So when you have Blade of the Rune King with 8% of current health per hit, and you use the W, you have a lot of burst you put down with the Blade, and it's passive. Ooh, that was very, very close. Unlimited would have died.
He landed it, but he didn't go for it.
Oh, no, he didn't. Did he?
Oh, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was Salavar's Q that was showing him. That's
yeah, I was
about
to say.
Yeah.
Very confused.
Yeah. You are correct, of course. So, Wallite making sure he doesn't get caught out, as he would have been a dead man. But, of course, Jankos shows himself in lane, which does mean it buys time for actually a blue buff steal potential coming out here. Wolves going for this one on ROCCAT's blue buff. We do see Jankos actually caught out of position. The culling coming out from Wallite, not enough damage to take him down. But Van Dijk put in the shackles down. Oh, Mega Inferno Bomb dodged out of. The blue buff did get stolen away. I didn't see actually who had it. I think it may well have been Airwax using the smite.
Coulthard got it, I think. Coulthard at least has a blue buff. No, actually, Airwax managed to smite away. You are correct here. Overpower needs to be careful here. He didn't spot him yet.
Yeah, Airwax comes around, catches the hate spikes on towards him. The bouncing bomb comes in, not quite landing. Mega Inferno Bomb not available. Airwax stunning out. Overpower getting blown satchel-wise. Oh, flashes out of the bouncing bomb and gets away to safety.
And Overpower was actually waiting with his stun, just waiting for Airwax to get in tower range. And as soon as he landed the stun, a lot of damage onto him and forced him to move away here. Still, Overpower had to flash with the very last bomb.
Ooh, he's got to be careful. Hasn't backed away just yet. Yeah, now he's going to back away. Tower is playing with the water bombs. Vanda is going to defend this one. Just about bounced by the satchels. Xaxus and Youngbok back in the top lane. Look at this. They're poking each other once again with their pointy sticks. But this time, it may well be Xaxus that's going to come out on top. No, Dominus popped out. Youngbok not having any of that one. Going to force him away.
Smart little bait by Xaxus, however. First of all, he's like, I'm going to go all in on you, I'm going to force your ulti, and as soon as Youngbok pops the ult, Xaxus knows there's a minion right behind me, jumps to it with Q and just gets away. So Youngbok effectively didn't actually do anything with his ult other than just regain some of his HP here. This bot tower, however, is still taking a lot of damage. Same goes for Celavar.
Slowly but surely, Wallite and Unlimited are going to take this tower down. They have the CS advantage. And in fact, if you look across the board, Copenhagen Wolves have the CS advantage all across every single lane, which is a danger for ROCCAT. It's something that's plagued them throughout the summer split, falling behind in those lane phases. And you could even argue in the spring split as well. And this tower will go down eventually.
But this is why we talk about ROCCAT potentially lane swapping, because they had the weaker lanes, just 2v2 and 1-on-1. Decided still they felt confident enough going to standard lanes, or maybe they were hoping Copenhagen Wolves were trying to guess they went top lane or whatever, but still, it meant they got the standard lanes, and it meant they fell behind in CS all around the board.
For all the smack talk they gave, the Wolves are certainly giving ROCCAT a run for the money. Kautar's in trouble. He's not getting away from this one. Jankos catches him down. Overpowered with the assist.
So 34 seconds on the Dragon here. Kautar is going to spawn and he needs to run straight towards the Dragon if ROCCAT is in a position to start it. Sasas, however, used teleport up in his top lane, so he won't be able to join unless he starts running now.
ROC comes around the side there, does manage to catch the slow one towards him. Vander's going to be the focus target. They're currently doing the damage. He flashes away, and he's away from this one as well. Salavar now getting taken low. He's going to drop. Oh, will he? No, he escapes as well. And ROCCAT with the great escape. Meanwhile, they're pushing the mid lane, and there's nobody to defend it.
Still only 1 minute left here. Will they just tank it up? They should do it and get the tower here. Dragon is up now, but the bot lane has been forced back from ROCCAT. However, mid lane just took 2 towers. Now they're going to lose one in bot lane.
Will they be able to take it down? That's the question. They're going to keep pushing across. Youngbook takes the top lane turret down. Zazas is going back in towards that top. Warlock should get this turret down. Overpowered coming across. There's the ult. It lands on towards Airwax. Only catching the one though. He's got no vision. It is blind shooting just down in that lane. Does manage to catch 2 shots in it. Coming around the side is going to be Jankos. Jankos will catch on towards it. Airwax is going to be the focus, but he's stealth up. He's got no vision of him. He is the blind monk though, if he can get close enough. Instead, he dives around. Airwax tries to get around from the side. Overpower catches on towards him. Strangleballs bouncing Salavar in the air. Vander not catching on with the dark binding. And the ROCCAT only going to get 1 kill out of this.
Youngbook is pushing the mid lane here. Sasas was up in his top lane pushing it down as well. No teleport for both of them, so mid tower for Copenhagen Wolves. Youngbook also took the top tower while we had the whole chase going on here, so a lot of towers going down for both teams.
All 3 outer turrets now down. Remember, the Dragon is up, which is why Zazas is making his way down, but he's got Youngbook in between them with that ping ward, giving him full vision. Meanwhile, back down in the river area, they're catching each other out. Zazas is going to get aggressed upon. Youngbook putting a lot of damage down on towards him. Zazas is in danger here. He's got flash available if he needs it, but that means he's not available for this Dragon.
And we just saw the burst here you can do with Renekton when you have to play at the Rune King. Straight onto full HP. Irelia, you do 8% again on every single hit from your W, and you just bursted him down to around 50% pretty much instantly, forcing him to run away. So a lot of damage here from Youngbook, and now going towards this Dragon.
Didn't even use the active on that one either.
They don't have to. It's all about the passive.
Yeah, just simply got the damage down on towards him, didn't slow him down. So, Copenhagen Wolves moving for the Dragon. ROCCAT are going to try and defend this one. Teleport still not available for Zazas, so he's making tracks to get back down here. ROCCAT simply trying to delay it, and the Wolves are not quite sure about their power right now.
No, again, a bit weird for Copenhagen Wolves. So they move to the Dragon. They actually move away from the mid lane. And yet they don't start it instantly while Sasas wasn't there. So I'm not sure if they're looking just to land some.
Airwax found out here. He's going to try and catch on towards them. But Vander's straight in towards it. Quick turnaround from the damage. Overpower catching a good eye destruction on the Copenhagen Wolves. Jankos stealing away the red buff while this is all happening. Great delay tactics from ROCCAT.
Copenhagen Wolves took some damage for this engage here. Now, still poking away. Ulti wasn't used by Airwax, remember. He can still try and flank around. But it's very hard for him because he's in this river area here around the Dragon. He needs to either run all the way around the blue buff or straight into the face of Copenhagen or ROCCAT.
Jankos actually going into the face of them. Caught out the side there, has to use the kick, but it's a great effect, and Sasas bounces on it. Quick ultimate coming out. Overpower trying to catch the damage down. Counter out. Jankos goes in, hits and runs. Overpower gets the kill on towards him. The rest of ROCCAT chasing on towards this one. Warlock's going to be the focus target. Jankos catches on towards him. Dark Binding was already used. Soul Shackle's not going to do enough. Does get the damage down, but doesn't have the stun effect. Overpower going to try and clean up. Dragon, of course, still available, and it looks like ROCCAT are going to turn and take it.
And those Jankos here moving the entire way. First into the red buff of Copenhagen Wolves, then he moved behind them here to start the whole fight. We saw Overpower. He wasn't even close, but he just used his ulti. Tried to hit as many members as possible here, and because Copenhagen Wolves took so much poke, and because it was ROCCAT who got the engage onto them, Copenhagen Wolves had to just run away. We're going to see it again here. Jankos moves in. Youngbook actually goes towards him. It was a beautiful kick. It's multiple members with a lot of damage onto them. Countered fourth way. Overpower, he's standing in the Dragon Pit right now. He's trying to fire his ult. Salavar joins in. It's actually a ROCCAT team out of position. I mean, Copenhagen Wolves are together as a group, but because they have landed so much poke and because they managed to just be so mobile and move around them, they still managed to get a kill here. And before the rest of the team joins in, well, couldn't pick up any more kills, but still got the Dragon.
So Trinity forces all around, of course, now being picked up. Meanwhile, Blade of the Rune Kings. It's the Triforce versus Blade of the Rune Kings between these two teams right now. Of course, the Wolves currently trail though, 4,000 in gold. That's a big advantage swinging ROCCAT's way after that fight. They were were already in the gold lead, but only 1,000 gold. Now they're starting to swing it. Of course, they've got those 4 kills as well. Despite every single lane effectively winning for the Wolves in terms of farm, they had a good advantage in tactical play, but with that mid turret down, it's a problem for the Wolves, and that takes a lot of vision away from them. If you look across the map, all the vision was placed down that bottom half, around that jungle area, but actually in their own jungle, in and around the defensive quarters that they needed. There's no vision right now, so Wolves are fairly blind.
And they only have this outer top turret here to give at least some vision in this area, because mid lane, ROCCAT can move down and place a very deep ward and just try and spot Copenhagen Wolves moving around. It is, however, the Wolves sending multiple members to this top lane here. ROCCAT going aggressive, it might backfire.
This might going to be a 2v2, and you can see Youngbuck coming in. Mega Inferno Bomb lands on the targets, and now Xaxus. Can this be the first kill for the Copenhagen Wolves? Xaxus is going to be that target man. They're still running away from it. The bouncing bomb will go down, and it's Coutard that takes the kill after the tower hit.
So Copenhagen Wolves just sending multiple members up top here. I'm not sure if they predicted ROCCAT to try and set a gang up, or they were expecting ROCCAT to group up in this top side to get the last outer turret down, and therefore they were there before them. Still managed to get a kill, pushed a wave out here. ROCCAT couldn't do anything in return. And it was a kill over to Coutard as well on the Ziggs here. He died a few times, but been farming really well, so still going towards the death cap most likely as his next item, and will be very, very strong. Overpower, of course, with 2 kills and 2 assists, already picked up the death cap.
Yeah, already very strong. ROCCAT maneuvering, making sure they have some positional play. Somebody's going to have to make a move. It's going to be Warlight, by the looks of it, that's going to go down towards that bottom lane wave, which immediately, because they've pushed it out, ROCCAT, all members moving in towards the top, they're going to go for that top turret.
Yeah, so they're doing it now here. Teleport is ready for Youngbuck, but he won't be able to hold the tower by himself, and the rest of Copenhagen Wolves are very, very far away. So they moved up there earlier, got a kill, but then they moved away from it, so ROCCAT was simply just waiting and saying, okay, now we send the members up top, and we should take this tower without any issues. And Overpower staying around as well in case a fight should break out.
Yeah, it's all down to Sullivan just clearing out, keep pushing that wave. They're going to have to tank it through. They've only got 1 minion. I think they're happy to do that.
Come on.
As the Wolves show themselves. There goes the turret. And Youngbuck, the only defensive member. Awax looking to flank around, actually. There is only 4 members of ROCCAT here. The rest of Copenhagen Wolves moving for it, but Warlight's not with them, so I don't think they're going to go for it. They may look towards this mid lane of Xaxus, though.
Just farming away here. Airworks coming in, still on him, and Warlight will be joining him. Nope. Not really going to go in for anything here, and Copenhagen Wolves couldn't really start a fight top because Aurelia had TP. Instant up there, AD carry of course. Didn't bring TP and wouldn't be able to join in on the side of Warlight and Copenhagen Wolves. Now they are grouping here. 24 minutes into the game. Might look to try and come down and land some poke onto ROCCAT, but they need to be careful. Again, binding or the stun from Overpower, and then ROCCAT can engage.
Well, they're going to sweep out the ward and see if the Wolves will take anything from this one. It seems that they are going to back away. They've got no advantage in any of the lanes. The top lane's going to get cleared out. Xaxus is going to continue that farming spree. So, we're hitting the later phases of the game, 24 minutes in. Xaxus will become stronger now. You've got than Youngbuck.
He will, and definitely in team fights. Aurelia is very, very strong in the late game. Or even in this mid-game point here, once you complete the Trinity Force, you hit your first power spike as Aurelia, where you become very strong. You have a lot of damage. If you get onto a squishy target, you will be able to take them down. And because of your passive, with the extra tenacity, it is very hard to stop an Aurelia running towards you. Knock up, luckily for Copenhagen Wolves, works really well. That's where, of course, Zyra comes in to the picture. But still, Aurelia in these late game team fights will be able to do a lot. It will be very hard for Copenhagen Wolves to control. And we actually do see Xaxus as well building tank now. So he's not looking for the second damage item and looking to split push. He's more going to say, okay, I need, first of all, I have 24s. I want to build for a bit of everything, and especially for team fights, by getting some tank in it, so I won't be a squishy target when I'm going.
Currently, it is even in terms of farms starting to develop out between them. You can see ROCCAT, of course, with that gold advantage. They have the objectives, they have the dragons. And it looks like with 40 seconds to go, they're going to make a move and try and secure this next one. Ward's being placed out. Lane's being pushed out. Xaxus has that teleport available. He's happy to keep himself active in the top lane. Blue Wolf this time will go to Overpower, so he's going to have that for the fight as well. Jankos is backing off, though. 30 seconds to go before that dragon spawns. They know they have a little bit of timer, but it's actually affording Copenhagen Wolves positional advantage. And they now have the river area covered out.
The Copenhagen Wolves, everyone went back to base. Board used all the gold they had, and then they ran to Dragon here. Overpower is actually sitting on almost 2,000 gold at the moment. Won't be able to spend it before the fight unless he wants to give up the Dragon to the to the Wolves, but they're moving away actually now. He's still staying around, just Airwax scouting away, see if he can find someone. Oh, trying to get some poke down at least.
Oh, Mega Inferno Bomb.
Oh,
it only caught on Vander, yeah, and didn't really do a great deal of damage, so that ultimate's not available. That's a big item to go down. Overpower, though, caught out of position around the side there. They're calling doing the damage on Youngbook. One more hit. Safeguard run towards it from Jankos, but Airwax does get the kill on Overpower, and that will give them a big advantage in this Dragon fight.
So with the pink ward here, Copenhagen Wolves were just waiting around for ROCCAT to make a move, and Airwax, you already moved to the mid lane like 10-20 seconds ago, just waiting for something to happen. As soon as Overpower moved into the river, he just collapsed onto him, killed him with Youngbook as well. Nice setup, flash was used. And they actually tried to push down the mid lane, but because both towers are already gone, they don't have time to do it.
Yeah, there's no advantage to gain. They are going to steal away the blue buff. That's a small gain, honestly, but that's the first dragon of the game for the Wolves. So, Jankos actually going aggressive on this one. They're going to keep on chasing. The rest of the Wolves are following. Can they catch on towards them? They could have position, or you can see Airwax coming around the side, actually. They've spotted out Xaxus. Overpower does have ult, and yeah, they realize it. They can't go too carried away on this one. But look at the bottom lane now. While they're keeping the pressure on, Youngbook is putting pressure on this bottom lane. So
he can just push it into the tower. Xaxus is nearby to defend it and pick up all the farm. And the team fight so far in this game, we do see the lack of hard engage for the lineups, because they go in, they pick up one kill, and then they back away. They don't try and chase for too long. They know they can't really continue to chase or lock down a second target, so they get a kill, back away, get a dragon, and we kind of reset the whole game once again. We go back to farming, and both of them just looking to reach the point where they feel like now we can start grouping up, trying to land some poke, land a binding, and then we can maybe try and go for a kill. But none of the teams so far have been at that point. They're only looking for dragon. Whenever one guy dies, he goes to the other team.
Go back about their merry way. So, Copenhagen Wolves did close the gold gap a little, only a little. That's all they managed to get. Can they try and keep that going though? If they can pick off the likes of Overpower, take down one of those carriers, Salavar maybe out of position. Maybe even just catch out Xaxus, who knows? He's the man that's going to be split pushing, and just looking towards the top lane, you can see Salavar long way out. Copenhagen Wolves thought about it, but he's not foolish. He's not going to keep on pushing that wave. He's not going to go too deep. And he will step away, which means, of course, the waves will continue to be cleared. So let's look across the map. Let's see who is in a big advantage right now, because AD carry ice, you can see it's the Infinity Edge and Triforce being picked up by Salavar. Meanwhile, Warlight went with the Yomu's Ghostblade and the Blade of the Rune King. But now that those Trinity Force and Infinity Edge are completed, Salavar is stronger, surely.
Yeah, he's very, very strong at this point if they do get in a fight. But the burst potential from Warlight for the 6 seconds when he have the Ghostblade, he will, or should be able to at least do more damage than Salavar, but only for those 6 seconds. And then Salavar started doing more damage for the rest of the fight here. And we do need to see if the Blade of the Rune King is actually close for Woolite. I didn't see when he got to shop. No, he's only on about 1,000 gold now, so he needs a lot of farm before he can complete the Infinity Edge and start becoming stronger as well in the longer fights and not just rely on his 6 seconds of burst with the Ghostblade.
So it's got a while to go on that one. We do see some tank items starting to be picked up by both top lane, and Star Binding on Youngbook will lock him in position, but no damage follow-up. The Wolves continue to clear out those wards, maybe looking towards that Baron area. Salavar, very aggressive stuff. He's confident, he's got his Valkyrie available and his flash, so he knows he can get out of a sticky situation, but he's got to be careful he doesn't put himself in one in the first place like Airwax has. Doesn't quite get locked up by the stun there, very close. Instead, you're going to see the ultimate, Overpower putting the damage down. He has vision, but they don't quite have enough to finish him off. And look at that, though, Warlight putting the damage down on towards Jankos, the Cullen burning down his back, and he's going to step away. While that was all happening, the bottom lane pairing had continued to push. And still, these teams are not confident enough to finish the job. Both junglers caught out.
Again, they have a hard time actually directly starting the fight. They're just poking back and forth here. Airwax keeps trying to sneak around people, trying to get the flank, start a fight here, but the rest of Copenhagen Wolves were not in a position to help him, so he had to run away, dropped very, very low, and then we actually saw Jankos with the exact same thing. He tried to get around them. Salavar popped, or sorry, Woolite popped the Ghostblade here and just hammered Jankos down, forced him away from the fight. And this bot lane thing with the two top laners, they are pushing the waves, but they don't actually fight against each other. They're just pushing it out, and the next guy is like, okay, I'm just gonna wait here. Thank you, take the farm. The other guy moves away, goes into the jungle or whatever. So we don't actually see them fight each other. They're just both ready to teleport in case they need to, and just farming away, just trying to become as tanky as possible now.
Oh, I thought he was gonna maybe come in and steal that with a smite. Didn't have a vision there though. He could have. There was nothing to stop him, but he just didn't put the ward down. Instead, he went towards actually giving himself some coverage. Of course, the Dragon is up in 1 minute 40, and that is probably the next focus for the Wolves as they push this bottom wave.
Alex, once again, he keeps looking for these fights and he really wants to try and stay as far behind ROCCAT as possible. So they don't expect him to all of a sudden show up behind him and start everything. Copenhagen was pushing his mid lane here. Jankos coming down from his top lane. There's 4 members now from ROCCAT in his mid lane to try and defend. And of course, they do have a lot of poke with both Corgi and Overpower with his long range. Also his ulti, if someone should drop low, you can try and finish him off with the ulti. You just see the wave clear right here. Boop.
What's stopping them in the bottom wave? They could just go straight towards the tower, and that's exactly what they're doing. I've wondered why they were not just simply 2v1 in and pushing the pressure on. So the Wolves take themselves down the 4th turret of the game. That puts things even between them, and again, brings that closer. Gold ever so closer between these teams. Vander putting the pink ward down. Dragon up in 50 seconds. Youngbuck, you are backing away in a dangerous position, and he's going to step away from that.
Steps away again. Both top lanes have teleport. He can go back. Boy, some items to be ready here. Both teams basically doing the same thing. I mean, we talked about how the last Dragon, now we're going to have 5-6 minutes. So
we also talked about how this game may be long.
Right, right. I think we are correct so far. The teams are taking it slow, farming up, want to go towards these late game team fights. We do see Youngbuck picking up a giant spell for the team fight, which is going to be very good for him. Sasa's actually stayed, even though he has teleport. I'm not sure how much gold he has. Oh, he has about 600, so of course couldn't go back still. Slight advantage for Youngbuck at the moment, but still Aurelia is very, very strong in these team fights.
6 kills in 33 minutes. It's the exact opposite to what 4.10 was like last week when the teams had newly discovered this patch. Dragon is up. ROCCAT are taking it. They're in the advantage position. Copenhagen Wolves are going to have to push on this one. The World Dragon's going to go down. It's finished off. ROCCAT tries to come around and steal it, but he goes down. Stranglethorns goes down. Not going to hit anyone. Mega Inferno Bomb does catch a little bit of damage, but Kautard has to flash away. He's caught out with the kick. Jankos goes in, secures himself the kill on that one. He's got nowhere to escape, though. He's going to get locked out. It is a 3-for-1 so far, and it seems that ROCCAT are just about done there.
And everything actually starts with Youngbuck being out of position. He was in this mid lane, very far away from the Dragon. Notice here on the minimap, Youngbuck had to run the entire way to help the team out. The Dragon is already gone. Eric's tried to steal it. Again, Evelyn, you need to flank around. If you just move straight in their face, they're going to spot you out. They're going to land some CC and just kill you instantly. You will never be able to get your burst, or you're never going to be able to even get your shield if you just get locked up instantly, like ROCCAT did here against Airwax. Again, look, his ulti is still ready. Didn't even have time to use it, just dropped down instantly. ROCCAT managed to clean up the fight, or at least pick a few more kills.
I think he tunnel visioned so heavily on getting the smite steal that forgot actually, you know what, if I do get this steal, there's a big fight straight afterwards, so kind of a little bit out of position. Nevertheless, that gives another gold advantage, swings straight back to ROCCAT. So the Wolves, they claw it back. They claw it back in the lanes. They claw it back. The Dragon spawns up. They lose the fight. ROCCAT take it. And again, another big gold spike for them, back in 5,000 gold lead.
And they should never...
with Baron available, will Wolves maybe pressure for this?
Well, it could be the next thing to dance around. At least we see both teams coming in here. There's actually no pink wards down around the Baron, so nobody's actually denying any wards, except for the one sweeping lanes being used. So both teams can now go back. Supports Unlimited will most likely pick up a pink ward here, go back and place it around the Baron if they want to try and take control of it. But the Copenhagen Wolves should have been in position to make sure ROCCAT didn't actually start the Dragon before. But they were a bit split up. Youngbuck was in the mid lane, farming away here, so ROCCAT just took the Dragon. And when the teams put so much focus on Dragon, you have to make sure you're there. When it's finally spawning and there's a fight about to happen, you need to be ready. Because if you give it over to the team, you just give them this advantage now for the next 6 minutes until the next Dragon spawns, where both of them have been farming away, and there was no reason to actually do it.
Especially when you've just invested a whole bunch of wards to get in that position and that vision in the first place. So Youngbuck clears out this bottom wave stack. It does, of course, give his position away, but he does have teleport available if ROCCAT were to try anything out in this top lane. While, of course, this is keeping 4 members of both teams active, we do see Zazas continuing to push that top lane. They've already put damage on towards that top turret. It is pretty fragile right now. Jankos looking to sneak around. He's trying to flank it.
Move down, take the tower.
Get some damage, and they're pushing. There you go. Jankos comes around. Zazas on it. Teleport in there. Mega Inferno Bomb being used to clear out the wave. But that's going to be on a cooldown now.
Yeah, so worst case for ROCCAT here, they forced away the ult from Kautard. Good enough. They got some damage on the tower as well. Youngbuck has been pushing out this bot lane, So it's gonna slowly push towards the tower of ROCCAT, but there's still a while before it gets to the tower, and the tower itself should be able to clear the wave fairly easily. And of course, coming too far away,
Celebar, big burst damage, has to Valkyrie and flash and heal away. It actually didn't have a heal available just to get the hell out of there. So quick burst damage from the Wolves, and that gives them some positional advantage to move.
They get the pink now. Now they can move in, place all the pink wards, clear the wards from ROCCAT, and try and force ROCCAT now into a bad situation where they either have to face check onto Copenhagen Wolves, or just maybe risk Copenhagen Wolves starting the Baron itself. However, it's going to be risky against Overpower here, because he's going to be able to destroy you very far away.
Well, they do not start things off, they're just going to bait it out, and the dance, or the waltz, whichever you prefer in there. Maybe it's a little bit of salsa. We do have Tango Evelyn, I believe it is, in the top there. As it is, Zazas has found him. He's going to have to run, speeds himself up, and gets away from that.
So, every single time Airworks has the chance, he moves around, looking for the chance to start a fight. But of course, without any hard engage, we are just looking at each other for now, trying to scare each other away. Find some pink wards, kill the pink ward here, small victory for ROCCAT. Still a few more down around the Baron pit. They can go and clear if they do manage to force Copenhagen Wolves away. Do however lose the blue buff, which is important over Ziggs now, so he can start poking away. Overpower needs to be a little bit careful with his mana. And now Copenhagen Wolves need to be careful they don't lose all the pink wards they just placed.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that. So, let's look across and see who actually has the advantage. I mean, obviously ROCCAT do with in terms of gold. In terms of items, it's going to slowly become closer. So, as we approach the 40-minute mark, who's going to have the stronger late game team? I mean, you'd assume I would look towards ROCCAT, but the Wolves are still in good position.
So I'm definitely looking towards the top lanes. When we talk about late game, where it's heavily in favor of Aurelia, these late game team fights. But the Blazer King actually made Renekton better in the late game, because you had quite some damage, and then you can just build full tank afterwards. But still, I would give it to Aurelia in this late game points here. And Overpower against Kautrad, I mean, both of them do a lot of burst damage, a lot of AoE damage in these fights, so it's all about who gets the best engage for them. And of course, AD carry-wise, well, Corgi's fine in the late game with Infinity Edge. Honestly, I think I'll give it to Lucian still late game wise, but it's very much up in the air. I don't think it's going to be too much about the champions here. I'm actually going to think about who starts the right team fights, because it's very hard for both teams again to start the fights. So who gets the proper engage, or who managed to start controlling the map. Try and sneak a Baron, try and take it away, or maybe get 1 or 2 towers because you out-rotate the other team, and therefore you get some advantage and try and win the game, and not necessarily just depending on the champions they have.
Well, of course, looking at the junglers, we do see this Hex Drinker was picked up a long time ago for Jankos. And he's... it's interesting, we've been focusing a little bit on, of course, the junglers over the last few games, because we're interested to see how they're itemizing. There's been a few changes for them. ROCCAT, though, poking on towards the Dragon, not going to start it off this time. She leashed it out and backed straight off. Banshee's Veils was picked up. Overpower going. Kotar caught out, but he doesn't go down. It's enough. He can step away at the side there. Mega Inferno Bomb thrown out, but again, only catching the damage on Vander. Meanwhile, back in the top area, you can see Overpower Youngbuck trying to single him out with the Dominus run in. Airwax comes around. Zazas is going to get locked up. Has to flash away from this one. Youngbuck goes big on this one. Can he get the final damage down? Yes, he can. It's the culling from Woolite that does it. But now the Copenhagen Wolves are really low, and ROCCAT are backing away. They could try and pick up some kills here, but instead, they have to back away. Scrying Orb was used.
Dragon, though.
Who managed to get on towards it. The Dragon is going to get started out. Meanwhile, Woolite, he's putting pressure on this mid lane.
So Unlimited staying around this Dragon for now, but everyone else is so low here from Copenhagen Wolves. Woolite already moved to the top side. Should be Dragon for ROCCAT, so while they lost the team fight, they do pick up the late game objective here, and more gold. There's only 1 kill again on the side of Copenhagen Wolves. I don't think we've had a team fight, except for one, with more than just 1 kill here. Youngbuck joining in, though.
Teleported in for this. Not sure really that he wanted to go and be full aggression, but it forces ROCCAT to back away nonetheless, and it did force some damage away. Woolite looking to try and catch somebody out. Doesn't manage to catch out anyone after all, and instead it doesn't really put any pressure on anything. They're going to go Baron though.
Well, they're moving there at least. Still, they don't have any pink ward to place in the Baron pit, so they won't be able to clear the ward unless they're using the sweeping here, but ROCCAT can move down, place a new ward, and just poke away from distance. So no pink ward from the side of from Copenhagen Wolves, therefore they won't be able to deny any vision, and now they already spotted them out.
Yeah, Jankos lands that, gives him immediate eyes in the Baron pit, knows that it's simply bait and they're not going to fall for it. So it's now a 7,000 gold lead or shy of for ROCCAT with a 7-4 gold lead, kill lead advantage. Everybody backing off and purchasing yet more items. We saw actually how close it was, despite there is that 7,000, 6,000 gold lead between the teams. It's still very, very tight between these. Simply someone getting caught out of position. Zazas was the man that went down. And
we saw how scary it was if you get hit by binding, because instantly as the binding landed onto Coulthard, Overpower just put his ult into his face here, almost managed to kill him. And it's actually a thing for Copenhagen Wolves. If you look at the items, there's only one member with tenacity. That's actually Airworks in the jungle here. Youngbuck up in his top lane, he doesn't have any tenacity. 80 carries, of course, building towards a Quicksilver Sash instead, so you have your cleanse now. But if you look at both Coulthard and Unlimited, if they get hit by a binding, it's a lot of CC, and then follow up maybe by the stun by Overpower, and the target is going to go down.
Well, it was Zazas that went down in the last fight, and he's already picked up himself a Guardian Angel to make sure that doesn't happen again. Meanwhile, Frozen Heart picked up by Youngbuck. Big, giant, tanky wall of a crocodile now. Zazas in that bot lane is split pushing. Copenhagen Wolves actually just still continuing to clear the wards out. Zazas is going to continue that pressure and actually eventually will reach that tower. But Copenhagen Wolves have started the Baron off here. They're not committed to it though.
No, and Zazas still in this bot lane here, just waiting. Because as long as they can hold them off with 4 members, he can keep pushing in the wave. And if they can keep holding them off, he's going to force Youngbuck then to go down and defend. He can't because he has no teleport, therefore he's actually forced to stay with the team. And every single time they started, ROCCAT tries to poke them and try and force them away. Now, this time around, they actually already got the Baron down to about 60%.
We'll see whether the teleport's
going to come in.
They're going to have to come in shortly. It's not being used just yet. They're going to try and peel on this one. They're catching around the side. Mega Inferno Bomb this time catches on Vander and Sullivan. Teleport is coming in this time around. Vander's already been caught out though. Zazas comes around the side, and the Copenhagen Wolves are actually fairly low on health right now. Youngbuck's going to get caught out. Is it going to be enough? Yes, Sullivan gets the kill on him. Now we can see Overpower getting on towards Airwax. Does not land and connect those hits, but they can see the mines coming around. Jankos kicks Unlimited back into Zazas. Zazas locks him up. Guardian Angel gets popped. Woolite caught around the side. Stun does not land from Overpower. Arcano Pulse was going out there, but everybody steps away, and it's just a 2-for-1 this time around in the fight. ROCCAT again coming out on top, despite the Wolves starting everything off.
Yeah, so they lost Vander very early on here, but managed to just keep cutting backwards. Youngbuck overcommitted a little bit, took a lot of damage, actually went down for them. Woolite staying around, he wants more.
Yeah, you can see the damage that both Woolite and Overpower have there. Woolite almost 2-shotting Jankos, but everybody steps away once again. The Baron dance will continue its merry way for a 3rd time.
Well, first Dragon should be spawning in a few minutes. Could be the target and then towards the Baron afterwards. But we did see Copenhagen Wolves, because they didn't have teleport and Youngbuck, they moved all 5 members to the Baron, started it, and forced then Aurelia or ROCCAT, sorry, to use their teleport to join in for the fight here. And traded 2-for-1 favor of ROCCAT. But there was still the team staying back and just waiting, poking away, even though they're hitting gold. They're not the ones taking control of the map. They're actually the ones staying back, poking, and then trying to disengage every single time. And if Copenhagen Wolves then overcommit in fights, they punish them. And now they're actually the ones starting the Baron.
This time around, I can see Airwax. He's flanking around Overpower, actually. Woolite is a long way from this one, and that Baron is going down quick. Airwax is not close enough to get in and steal this one away. That's going to go towards ROCCAT. The question is, can they peel in time? They found Airwax. They're going to try and catch him around. Soul Shackles from Vander will lock him up. Overpower going aggressive. Meanwhile, Stranglethorns is simply just going to bounce them in the air. Immediately, 2 members going down. Airwax is getting caught out, and Limited goes down. And now Youngbuck's being chased. Woolite, though, quickly caught on. Zazas locks it towards him. Zazas, no Guardian Angel this time, will get taken down by Counter's Mega Inferno Bomb. Youngbuck again. Jankos trying desperately to get the other side of him to kick him towards the team, but the Baron and 2 kills goes to ROCCAT.
So this all started because Woolite, after the team fight, he stayed. He tried to do as much damage he could to ROCCAT. He took a lot of damage in return, and then he actually moved all the way down to the Wraith camp and to the red buff here. So he had to recall very late. Therefore, he's running from base now when this fight is actually on. Airworks, first target. I mean, pretty much nothing he could do. He was moving in to try and smite steal it, never really got in position. He ended up dying for it. Woolite just have to run away here. Taking a lot of damage to Silva coming into the burst. Youngbuck managed to get 1 kill, but still you lost the Baron at this point here. Simply also because Woolite stayed for such a long time trying to poke away, and then did red buff afterwards, recalled, while ROCCAT had already moved all 5 members to the Baron. So he had to run there and was never really a part of anything.
Wasn't involved in it. Jankos being tracked by the Wolves right now. But clearing the wards in the Baron pit, you never know. There's no Baron there to deal with. 20 seconds until the Dragon's up, though. That's going to be potentially a focus. Mercurial Scimitar was picked up by Warlock. Actually, that's what kept him alive in that last fight. Managed to cleanse himself off and get the hell out of there. So ROCCAT with a big gold advantage now, 9,000. And, of course, that Baron buff are going to make their way down to this Dragon that's spawning in 2 seconds' time.
They've been playing very passive, but they've simply been waiting for their chance. As soon as they saw Copenhagen was out of position, being it around Dragon or Baron, they would start the objective, pick it up, and then just back away a little bit. Didn't necessarily want to actually team fight, but just get these objectives and back away now. And with Baron buff, with all the damage from Overpower, also Celavar, 4 damage items completed. Of course, another Dragon. Then we need to see if they actually want to start grouping up and try and move down, land some poke with Sasus, split pushing, and then try and force some towers.
The Wolves trying to force the mid-push, but simply put, now that Overpower's there, he can clear that wave very, very easily with that.
They're just delaying. They push the wave out as far away from their base as they can, and then they just move away here. So they delay ROCCAT a little bit from pushing. They can try and do the same thing up here in this top lane, kill the next wave, force someone from ROCCAT to move up and clear the wave, and therefore once again delay the whole thing and just wait this Baron buff out.
Well, you see Celavar's cleared that mid-wave, got that Bloodthirster now completed, and they are possibly going to show some signs of aggression. So, Vander, that man that was on your screen just there, can he land a Dark Binding? That will surely start everything off. Celavar's just got half the hit points down off that turret. Copenhagen Wolves, they were back in base, but they were...
But it's been the same deal the entire game. They are not fast enough to be the right place at the right time, so now they lost 60% HP of their tower just by an 80 carry running in saying, okay, duk, back away, easy peasy. Next time around, ROCCAT can just move in, put Black Shield onto Celavar, and let him kill the tower.
I never knew that was Corki's sound.
It's a duk.
It's a duk.
It's a great sound.
That's a fantastic sound. Airwax once again trying to flank around. Xaxus meanwhile is pushing the bottom wave in, so they're going to create pressure in that 4-1 split. Airwax again, he's going a long way around to flank on this one, that's for sure.
Well, still, he wants to start a fight here. Xaxus can join in. There's still Bloodthirster shield onto Celavar, of course, as long as he hits him in. He actually spotted Airwax and jumps towards him.
Yeah, actually, you can see Celavar going aggressive on this one. Meanwhile, Xaxus is taking this bottom tower down. Nobody from the Wolves to react to this one. Way too late to the party. And now the 5th tower of the game goes down to ROCCAT. Of course, Airwax was forced away. So again, ROCCAT moved back into position and try and pressure this mid inner turret.
Pushing on a Ziggs though is not the easiest thing. He will pretty much always be able to clear the wave before it even gets close to your tower. But because the tower is already pretty low, because Xaxus down near his bot lane is always pushing in, they should be able to get in and get a few hits on the tower and manage to actually kill it and open up for the inhibitor.
Dark Binding not going to land on Unlimited, just on the top of your screen now. Warlock, we just saw actually Warlock and Celavar. They're just a little duel back and forth between each other, both doing incredible amounts of damage right now. ROCCAT keeping the pressure on Warlock. Really aggressive because you saw Airwax again trying to flank around the side, but hey, Banshee's Veil on Jankos is not the target he wants. It's the AD carry he's going to try and focus on, but honestly, I think if he pops on towards Celavar, I think Celavar's just going to turn around and explode him.
And there's no pink wards on the side of ROCCAT here, so they can't actually place anything around the side to try and spot, except for the one right here on Overpower, and therefore Airwax keeps dodging around instead on the other side of the map, and there's no additional pink wards, so they won't be able to spot him. You just have to say, okay, we think he's going to engage. I haven't seen him for a while. Once again, he's staying around. Now he's spotted.
But look at the side. Xaxus is actually coming around the back of the Copenhagen Wolves. Celavar takes a Mega Inferno bomb, but he quickly turns it around, gets the lifesteal back on towards Airwax. While this is all happening behind them, we see Jankos coming around. Warlock catching out. Celavar does manage to take him down. Airwax zapped out of it by Overpower. Xaxus brought all the attention. Celavar gets himself a second. Chalton goes down. Youngbook in all sorts of trouble. He's going to get caught out. Jankos trying to get on towards him. Can't quite kick on him, but it doesn't matter. The focus is strong from ROCCAT as they get a triple kill for Celavar. That's going to be the inhibitor turret. It may even be the game.
It will be the game for sure. The death times are so long. We have 50 minutes into the game. ROCCAT will be able to take it.
So 50 minutes gone. You can see they're going to tank this one through. They can take out those Nexus turrets. ROCCAT instead choose to go up towards the top because there's a big wave and they think, you know what, let's get another inhibitor and play it.
Fantasy points for whoever has the ROCCAT as a team. It's additional tower here, inhibitor as well, now moving towards the base.
Now the minions come in. Actually, they go aggressive and they get a kill. Zaza's catching on towards Unlimited. That is it. That's the ace. And that is the Nexus Courage going down. ROCCAT, well, they smacked all at the start of it and they finally backed it up. But it was far from convincing once again for ROCCAT. Another 50-minute victory, but it does keep them clear of the Wolves.
And ROCCAT as a team in this game here, they were simply one step ahead of Copenhagen Wolves. Or we could say Copenhagen Wolves were one step behind ROCCAT, because every time they were late for Dragon, or whatever objective it was, ROCCAT would start it, take it, and just back away afterwards. We had so many team fights where only one member died every single time, but the Dragon always went in favor of ROCCAT. So even though we had stronger lanes from Copenhagen Wolves early on, and standard lanes, and they actually got ahead, because they kept losing Dragons, because they kept being too late to the party, ROCCAT got the lead, and also managed to actually win the game here in the very end.
Well, what a win, nonetheless. Not a convincing match by any stretch of the imagination, but nonetheless, with Superweek, any win is a good win.
Yes, especially for ROCCAT here, fighting to really climb up the standings, want to secure this top 6 spot. I believe they're 6th place now, and they want to stay there, at least, of course. Don't want to drop lower, because you want to get this playoff spot, so you have a chance of going to Worlds. It's what every single team is playing for. Nobody even thinks about relegation at this point. It's all about, I want to go to Gamescom, I want to play in the playoffs and get a chance to go towards Worlds. Because once you actually are at Gamescom and you play this quarter-final game here, everything can happen. I mean, everyone can just prepare one